False Start, a college football podcast for everyone and everyone else. I'm your host, John Buhler, lead writer, fanside.com. I'm joined today by a man who drove downtown in the rain, 9:30 on our Tuesday night, just to check out the late night record shop. You can call him compulsive, you can call him impulsive, you can call him insane. We just call him Cody Williams, content director, fansided.com. Brian Wilson, lying in bed, or he's dead. Rest in peace. How are you?
Rest in peace, Brian Wilson. I'm doing good, man. I guess my head is just full of allergies and whatever that's stirring up in there. So this show's for sure gonna go off the rails. But hell, we're here, man. Good to see you. How you doing?
We're living today. We're not thriving. You've got a hell of a ton of allergies. My stomach is not doing well with dinner from yesterday. So
Love to see it. While you're here, though, guys, please smash that like button. God, see, that's what I'm talking about. But smash the like button like you're Bueller on the toilet today. Like let's
and hit that subscribe button like the plunger. Flush it down.
Oh yeah, flush it down, baby.
Yeah, who needs sleep? Well, you're never gonna get it. But yeah. Also, shout out to the starters. We picked up another one last night with Celestial Grimace,
Love that.
commenting on my stuff about Hugh Freeze when I was flying solo like a cup. A lot of stuff at play here. I think Grimace's big thing was to the point of like maybe the relationship with John Cohen and Hugh Freeze is a little bit overstated. It may be more about Yellowwood money, and I'm like, I think that's fair.
That's completely fair. I mean, when it's Auburn, it does come down to the Yellowwood money a lot of the time.
I know, and obviously we false started here. We're not going to be going to Auburn for week one, but we now know where Lee Corso is going. We're going to be going here with some first and 15 with a do Host or do Host here.
hmm
Uh, Cody Williams. Gotta keep saying your name because that's the type of show we're having right here today.
That's right.
Did ESPN pick the right final game day location for Lee Corso? They are going to Columbus for Texas at Ohio State. There were other candidates out there, namely Alabama at his alma mater at Florida State, and there was also a really big one in Death Valley for the Battle of Death Valley between LSU and Clemson.
I'm still gonna go do Haas 1S because I understand the sentimentality of going to Florida State. Like, obviously, that would have been a hell of a moment. I understand that Big Noon Kickoff is going to this game as well with Texas and Ohio State, and so there was some credence to the idea of going to the Battle of Death Valley. But at the end of the day, Ohio State Texas is the game of week one, and like those other games are 1B or 2A, whatever you want to call them, but like that is 1A that we're talking about there. And I think that's the right way to send Lee Corso out. Like send him out like with the biggest show that you have of the week. And of the like that's gonna be one of the biggest games of the season. And like I do think that getting Lee Corso there and having that be his send off, I think that's just proper.
I would agree. I wrote about this for fansided.com earlier in the week. Once it was announced they were going to Columbus. And as I was writing, I'm like, did they make the right decision? I was this close going to Haas two S's
hmm
for the economic reasons of it all. But then I asked myself, what would Lee Corso want to do? Because you've asked that question
Yeah.
before, and he'd want to go to the best game. And yes, there is some sentimental attachment. This is where he did his first headgear selection, I
Right.
believe, October 5th, 1996. I forget the opponent, but that's when he did this some
Yeah.
30 years ago. But like game day has never been afraid. Game day has always been like, we're gonna go where the best game is for the most part. They may shoehorn a few in here to kind of spread the love a little bit more, but
Yeah.
like that's kind of been their modus operandi. And yes, it's a big noon kickoff game. Yes, Brady Quinn and the boys are all going to be there. Yes, it's going to be Joel Klatt, where you at, and Gus Johnson. But like, this is also probably a way for all the people for Fox to pay their respects to Lee Corso and
Yeah.
maybe at one point college football come together.
Yeah, no, I mean like it would be pretty sick to have like Urban Meyer show up on the college game day set. Like that would be a really sick thing to happen. Like to, really give Lee Corso his flowers. But your point about college game day not being afraid, like and I think that a lot of that stems from Lee Corso. Like Lee Corso, everything we know about the man, he's never made it about himself. He just loves the game of college football, man. And so like if College Game Day is to celebrate that, and if this episode of College Game Day is to celebrate Lee Corso and his love for college football, then hell yeah, go to Texas, Ohio State. That's going to be a hell of a game. That's the game that everyone's talking about coming into this. Almost a national championship like rematch. Like that's what we were close to. Like we were close. Or sorry, did they play? They played in the semifinals, correct?
Yeah, they played in the Cotton Bowl, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Regardless, we saw it in the college football playoff last year. Now we get Arch Manning versus whatever Ohio State's doing against the defending national champions. Like I think that this is going to be. I'm already excited for this game, and it's 3 months, 3 or 4 months away. And like I think that Lee Corso probably shares those sentiments.
It's also going to be a little bit cooler in Columbus on August
That's
30th than
true.
it's going to be in Tallahassee, Florida, or Clemson, South Carolina.
Brother, yeah, the humidity factor of both of those places sounds awful. No, I'm good. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, but I'm good.
No, but I guess to kind of like tie a bow on this is like this was the marquee game that they needed to go to. But I think it would have been like any other circumstance, they may have just gone to Clemson and really made
Yeah.
that a bigger deal because we also tend to believe that Clemson and LSU are going to start the year ranked inside of the top 10. Also, Kirk Herbstreit makes that fly a lot from Columbus to Clemson because his kids played there and he's from
Yeah,
Columbus.
100%. Maybe we uncovered a conspiracy right there. Maybe it's all a Kirk Herbstreit thing, and he was like, I don't really want to fly to Clemson. I've done that too much, and he just wants to stay in Columbus.
What's like the nearest like big airport to Clemson? You might know. Is it Greenville?
It'd probably be Greenville, Spartanburg. Yeah, that's probably the one.
Okay. I'm sitting here because like Georgia is just it's just one airport really.
Yeah, and God help everyone at Hartsfield Jackson, man. Like that place is a world of its own.
I know there's definitely airports with vibes. That's got a vibe, and Denver's got a vibe, and this is false start.
Denver has a vibe. Albuquerque has no vibe. I'm gonna go ahead and just spoil that for you. It's terrible.
San Francisco has a vibe, but you can't talk about it because you can't talk there.
You know, very true, first of all. Actually, if you're ever flying into Northern California, would recommend the Oakland Airport. Actually, quite underrated. I enjoy the Oakland Airport quite a bit.
I'll definitely keep that in mind next time I'm out in that direction. Never been to Southern California, so that's just gonna blow my mind at some capacity. But
I've been to LAX and that's it.
when you were going, oh, what, to go to Hawaii,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the only time.
you weren't going back to Cali. You were going back to Hawaii. Hi.
I.
We'll talk about Lee Corso where he should go for a summer vacation and everything like that to finish the show. But props to ESPN, props to Disney, everybody making sure that Lee Corso gets to go out in the game, the best game of the week 1. It'll be hot as s everywhere in the country, but college football will be back and it'll be early in the morning. It'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll be okay. I'm not. It'll be a good day and a sad day for sure. Like, I mean, we talked about it when he announced that this was going to be his like last game, and it's going to be weird watching the rest of College Game Day throughout the season without Lee Corso. Like, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough not having him up there making his picks. And when he looks at the guys across the table, he goes four, four, four. We're gonna move on to some 4 for 4 with our next topic. I guess Lisa Corso's colleague,
Yeah, there we go.
Adam Rittenberg, did a very interesting power rankings for ESPN. He basically looked at all 68 Power Four teams. So every ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, SEC, and Notre Dame, and basically rank them on how he thinks they're going to do over the next 2 years. Like kind of combine 25 and 26 and see where it goes. And I just wrote down like in our notes yesterday, like let's just look at teams that the ranking where Rittenberg has them stands out the
Yeah.
most and why that is. So I'll let you go. Who do you got for the ACC?
The one that stood out to me was Louisville at 24. And they're behind SMU, they're behind Clemson, and they're behind Miami. And Clemson is ahead of Miami. I'd say that out of order. But regardless, you have Louisville at 24. And I push back on that a little bit probably, and I think that's why it stood out to me is like I look at Louisville at 24 and I think about Jeff Brom, and I feel like the ceiling is, or sorry, the floor is just so raised when you have Jeff Brom as your head coach. Like, especially at a, like, it was raised at Purdue, but now you're at Louisville, which is a program with more resources, better chance of being like that when that floor is raised, like it's higher than it was at Purdue. So like I don't know if the ceiling is necessarily going to be there for Louisville, but I think the floor is so high, especially in the ACC, that seems like particularly in the middle of the conference, like seems so discombobulated right now. We don't really know what direction it's going to go. Like, does Florida State rebound and how quickly do they do that? Does the North Carolina Bill Belichick thing work out? Does Dave Doran get NC State back on track? Like, there's so many, like, how long can Georgia Tech sustain this? Or, like, how long is, that staff still there, frankly, at Georgia Tech? Like, there's a lot of questions in the middle there. Jeff Brom's not going anywhere at Louisville. And so, like, you look at this situation and it does feel like, I feel like having Louisville in the top 20 would not have been out of bounds for me.
Yeah, as I'm like looking at that one, I think it's mostly centered around the idea like Miller Moss is going to be another 1 year wonder at
Right.
quarterback for them. So I think that that's where they get docked. But you bring up a good point. Like the floor is raised considerably there in Louisville, Kentucky. Like Jeff Brom's two places, he's won like at places where there's been some football success historically, but in a state that's driven by basketball.
Right, 100%. That's literally that's where he thrives. That's his honey hole. That's where he does great.
So where would that be in North Carolina? Uh, North
I-
Carolina.
yeah, North Carolina, Duke, either or. Like, yeah, the triangle area I think works out.
It goes to U of A and Tucson. That could work too. Another
Yeah,
one.
100%. Yeah.
But I didn't have Louisville there, but the two that I had in case we had overlap, I had Florida State at 39
Mhm.
and I had SMU at 14. My notes for Florida State is I think so much is riding on Thomas Castellanos to, for him to gel with a fellow transfers, Deuce Robinson and Squirrel White. I think that the
Mhm.
coaching staff's good, and I've got other thoughts about Florida State. I kind of feel that like maybe last year is more the anomaly, is what kind of this is telling me.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the 13-0 is probably an anomaly as well. But like, I do think that the truth probably lies somewhere closer to that than it does 2-10.
Yeah.
And like, I still think Mike Norvell's a good, the opposite of James Franklin, 2-10, baby. Yeah, you got to drive like that. But no, like I'm 100% with you on Florida State. Like, I still have a lot of respect for Mike Norvell. I think last season was just the season from hell, and like they brought in like we said it at the time that you brought in DJU to kind of just be like a stabilizer. Like, no one looked at DJU led Florida State and thought, "Oh, this team's going to compete for a college football playoff spot." At least you and I didn't. We didn't think that about Florida State. Did we think they were going to go 2-10? No, but DJU quite literally, like, the bottom just dropped out of that experiment. So like, I just don't like you missed, but I don't think Florida State's in a bad spot like continuously.
I mean, it could be a dead cat bounce, but either way, like we both think that they're probably going to be pushing for a bowl game this
Yeah,
year.
100%.
And then for SMU at 14, the other thing that I guess I didn't realize was how young Kevin Jennings is,
Oh
and really
yeah,
just
he's a
how
baby,
long
man.
how long of a runway he and Rhett Lashley have. I think that they'll still figure out to recruit. Obviously, they got to figure out, what happens with the passing of Jim Irsay. It seems that
Mhm.
the Colts have kind of got it figured out with his three daughters running point. Looks like Carly, the one who's, is famous for wearing like the headset and the sidelines, like calling plays and stuff.
Yeah,
Like maybe she'll be like Sheila Ford Hamp and the Colts will make a turn because I mean, Jim Irsay was so much better than Bob Irsay at
oh
being a
yeah.
Colts center. So like, I think that having a little more stability with the Colts probably helps there be more stability with SMU. So I'm surprised to see them that high because I guess we maybe overlooked how long of runway they've got with Jennings and Lashley together.
No, that was the second one I had was SMU, and for that exact same reason, like I knew Kevin Jennings was young, but like even still looking at the situation, like I wouldn't have thought they would be that high, and it kind of does put it into perspective and also makes you wonder, like we've kind of alluded to this in the past couple of weeks, but like maybe we might be sleeping on SMU just a little bit in the 2025 season as well.
It's crazy. Like last year, doing all the schedules, like I had them getting to Charlotte and losing to I
Right.
think Miami, but I may have them going back right at this point now. It's like Clemson versus who, and it might
Yeah.
be them.
Yep, 100%.
All right, so that's how we feel about the ACC. Florida State, SMU, and Louisville. We're keeping our eyes on you. Let's move down to the Big Ten. Who stood out to you?
Right in the middle, Washington at number 33, man. I feel like this is a continuation of the Jed Fish disrespect that we've been talking about, man, recently. I think we talked about it on Monday, but like you look at Jed Fish and what he's done in his college football coaching career, like that Washington roster last year was absolutely gutted when Kalen DeBoer left, and they still made a bowl game. They were still like competitive. And you look at what he did at Arizona. And then you look at what was left in the wake of him leaving Arizona, and it was pretty damn bad with Brent Brennan. And so, like, I think we're underrating Jed Fish as a coach. I think we're underrating the resources and the advantages that Washington has. Like, if you don't go to Oregon and you're in the Pacific Northwest, which I understand is not a huge recruiting hotbed, but like if you're not going to Oregon, you're going to Washington. And like Washington also has a pretty good national footprint, especially now that they're in the Big Ten. And like having them at 33, I feel like that could look silly in a couple years. Like I know Washington's not going to be in the national championship every year. Like I know that that was the outlier, but that's a consistent top 25 program, and having them outside of the top 30 seems a little disingenuous to both Jed Fish and the program.
I also had Washington at 33 as one of my two. A lot of things to unpack here. I feel like they're the Xavier
Mm,
of college football, where it's like
yeah.
it's about a traditional power, but it's the best stepping stone you can have.
Right, 100%. I like that.
Uh, we've talked about how good of a head coach Jed Fish is. Yes, you lose Brennan Carroll. I forget where he went. Did he go to the? He didn't go to the Raiders.
I can't remember where he went. I'll look that up while you keep
Uh,
talking.
but then you get Ryan Walters coming in after failing at Purdue, going to be a massively overqualified defensive coordinator who was so good at Illinois. I think the other thing that I didn't realize is how poor Will Rogers played last year, and they went with cousin Demond Williams Jr.
Yeah.
And he came in there. I don't think Washington lost a game at Husky Stadium a year ago. They did lose to Wazoo at Lumen Field. Also, I think that like this may not be a stepping stone job for AD Pat Chun, who left Wazoo to come here. So
Right.
Washington's a team that I'm starting to get a little bit dangerously high on. But you got any stories about cousin Demond growing up?
Playing flag football in the backyard with him was hell on earth because that dude can move and I can't. So that's where I come down. Brendan Carroll did go to the Raiders. He is the offensive line coach. That's because I was thinking, I was like, he's not the offensive coordinator there, but he's the offensive line coach there.
All right. See on the 50-yard line with the Raiders, and this is fell start.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Very high on Washington, what they can do next year. The other team I had was UCLA at 49. I think Nico Iamaleava is the straw that stirs the drink there, but I think it just kind of goes to show that Deshaun Foster just really has the pulse of the team. I think
Yeah.
getting Iamaleava brothers is big. We know they're going to run the football because he's a former running back at college and in the NFL with the Panthers. Getting Tito Sinceri to come over from Indiana, it just kind of shows that like UCLA is going to find a place in the new Big Ten. It's not going to be pretty, but like they're going to be a team that's going to win about 7 or 8 games for the next couple of years.
No, 100%. And I think that's a really good pull by you. This is a very, I would highly recommend everyone go read Rittenberg's rankings because it's a very interesting. He does a good job of breaking it down, even if we quibble with it.
There's not really much quibbling with a lot of these
Yeah,
things. It's just eye-opening, and that's
yeah,
really what I like because it makes us think because that's the time of the year where we're just going on vacation and having mangoes on the beach and putting no prep in like Tony Romo and Chris Carter.
that's
That's what
right,
we're
man. That's how we got to do it in the summer.
And let's not do any prep. Let's go to the Big 12. Who do you got for that?
Speaking of not doing any prep, I've got Colorado at number 35. And I don't even know if this was necessarily eye-opening as much as it was like, yeah, this is probably where Colorado should be because who the hell knows what this is going to look like in a post Shador and Travis Hunter world? Like,
Right.
it's really hard to do that. Like, yes, you've gotten some big name recruits like a Juju Lewis in there, but like at the same time, when you look at the grand scope of things, like when Shador and Travis Hunter were there, it was so transfer portal heavy that we weren't really talking about the high school recruiting base. So like now that you don't like you can't sustainably build a program based on the transfer portal. So you have to continually start like building up that recruiting base. He has the ability to do that. It's Deion freaking Sanders, and Colorado obviously has NIL investment behind them because Coach Prime is there. But we don't know what that's going to look like in the moving forward. And like having them at 35 is the right spot because they like in 2 years they could end up in the 50s or they can end up in the 20s, and like I don't know which way it's going to go, so like putting them dead in the middle is the right choice.
I think that's fair. Your assessment with them is a lot better than mine. I didn't have much with them. Like they could be 15 or they could be 50. Like
Yeah,
that's
100%, like that's truly what it could be.
I think getting Juju Lewis is good. I think the fact that they've got a lot of star names on their coaching staff with Warren Sapp, Marshall Falk, Pat Shermer. I
Yeah,
think obviously that does well. I know Coach Prime is not doing so hot right now. He's feeling a little bit missed some practices, but bless up, Coach. We need you out there coaching the Buffs, dude.
100%, man. Need that. Need you staying away from Ralphie on the field.
Yes, and I think these two teams need to stay away from Ralphie on the field. I've got UCF at 65 and Utah at 30. Scott's Frost staff does have my intrigue. I just didn't realize how much talent they lost off of a bad team. I think that like Sean Clark, the former App State coach, is on his staff. There's somebody else of significance on there as well. But like as I'm sitting here, I'm just like, man, it's in really rough shape. Like there's some teams
Yeah.
in the Big 12 that are really down bad in this rankings because they just don't know.
Yeah, no, 100%. Excuse me. And like we talk about that league about having so much parity, but it's parity at the top. And then like what I'm really coming down on when I'm looking at the Big 12 is there's not really a middle class in the Big 12 right now. Like the middle class is Colorado, and that's it. Like that's pretty much what the middle class looks like right now. And it's a very weird spot to be in.
Yeah, because we're trying to push teams like Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech to the upper crust. It doesn't quite feel right. Maybe Kansas is middle class. I
Yeah.
don't know.
But I have enough respect for Lance Leipold that I don't necessarily consider them middle class. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's very interesting. Like the Big 12 is never going to get the shine that the SEC and Big 10 do, but good Lord, is it like not the most fascinating college football league in the world?
100%. And then I also had Utah at 30. Apparently, it's all about Devin Dampier at quarterback. And
Dude, Electric Factory.
I know he played at New Mexico last year for the Bronco Mendenhall School survival.
That's
So
right. Yeah,
you
he's
probably
seasoned.
he runs and he can pass. That's basically what I gathered. But like Whittingham's like, I'm not going to coach past 65. Well, he turned 65. Obviously, the whole everybody expects defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley to eventually take over, but like the last year was such a dud for Utah. The last 2 years have been
Mm.
pretty disappointing. We our lead topic was talking about Utah with Black Smoke, and they haven't done anything.
I mean, he didn't even play. Like
No.
our lead topic was about a player who did not play that season. Like what a wild word. Like the lead topic was if he was going to play in week one. Like what that's where Utah football has been. That's it perfectly indicative of what the past 2 years have been. But I do think like having them at 30 makes sense because I respect Morgan Scalley. He's been a great defensive head coach. We don't know what he is as a head coach. Like, quite frankly, like he's learned from Kyle Whittingham, obviously, but at the same time, like, have a lot of respect for Kyle Whittingham and what he's done for that program over the years. And yes, I do think it makes sense to like just promote from within whenever he does step down. But at the same time, we don't know what that's going to look like.
Not at all. Like so. Yeah, maybe how I feel about Utah is how you feel about Colorado, but like we got UCF in there, and then the Big Ten schools, because I forgot to mention that we're UCLA and Washington. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah,
Bang bang. And
yeah.
then let's move on to the SEC. Who'd you have for that?
I got Tennessee at number 9, man. And I think that it's somewhat eye-opening for me, but I think it's something that Tennessee fans should take solace in because, like, obviously you did not have the offseason that you were hoping you would have if you're the Vols. Like, you went from being a college football playoff contender to a team that, at least between you and I, we don't think really has a realistic chance of getting into the college football playoff this
No.
year. But this is a blip on the radar. They're still recruiting at a high level. You have George McIntyre, who I don't think is going to start the season as the starting quarterback, but I do like have high hopes for as the starting quarterback moving forward for the future of Tennessee. And Heupel has been recruiting at a high level. We know that Heupel's offense is going to like dramatically raise the floor of what this team can be. Still TBD on what that ceiling is going to be, but like I do think that when you look at that and you see them ranked at 9, and what a lot of that is because of how they've been recruiting and the young talent they still do have, the upgrades that they made on defense to improve the defense on that side of the ball. Like I just think that Tennessee fans, the 2025 season might be a little hard to watch, but the future is still very bright.
No, that's a very great point you have there with regards to Tennessee. It's like we're looking at them like, yeah, this year is going to probably pull back a little bit, and we'll talk about the Vols probably on two segments here
Yeah,
coming up.
yeah.
But like we know what they've got in Josh Heupel, we know what they've got in Tim Banks, we know what they've got in AD Danny White. And then it's also like it's all becomes like what happens with Joey Aguilar and then George McIntyre down the line. So
Mhm.
like you may pull back this year, but the program seems to be in a good spot, and that's why this is a two-year rankings.
Yeah.
I did not have Tennessee, but I had another team that was two other teams that were kind of like that. Well, one for sure, one definitely not. I had Ole Miss at 16 and
Mm.
Arkansas at 55.
Oh yeah, that opposite ends of the spectrum there.
So with Ole Miss, it seems like if Austin Simmons can thrive, then I think Lane Kiffin's loaded coaching staff is going to really take flight. I think we've made a lot about Ole Miss's demise, that maybe that was premature. Maybe they'll be a
Yeah.
lot better than what we expect. Kiffin still recruits at a high level, really both in the portal and in and outside, but like there seems to be like a 10 win ceiling there. But
Mhm.
again, I think Ole Miss is maybe they'll start the year ranked out in the 20s, but like they could finish in and around the top 16 this year.
No, I mean, based on this, and then, a few weeks ago, we talked about the SP Plus rankings from Bill Connolly as well. Like, I think Ole Miss has kind of been one of the teams that my eyes have been open to the most this offseason, like, as we kind of start to dig into these things. I think like, we had let previously, before we started, like, digging into this stuff, we had let previously, like, the disappointment of last season and the narrative around last season really, color our perception of the 2025 team. And that might be a bit misguided. Like, yes, you lost a lot of talent. It's still a pretty talented roster that they're going to field now and in the future.
Yeah, that's why I had them there, and I agree. Arkansas, it's mostly Taylor Green, and that's about it. Like if it doesn't happen
Yeah.
this year, it's not happening. Sam Pittman doesn't seem like he's recruiting the offensive line as well as he should. Coaching staff's not as good as it once was. He's only as good as his coaching staff allows him to be. This is probably going to be his last year. I have a bad feeling that he might be one of the first coaches fired.
Brother, you shouldn't have a bad feeling because he's going to go to Georgia and be like the offensive line coach. It's going to be sick.
Yes, sir.
It's good. It's good day for the dogs. That's all I'm saying.
Uh, I'll probably mention where Sam Pittman might be going on vacation here in a little bit here.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, so to wrap this up with the SEC, I had Arkansas and Ole Miss, and Cody had Tennessee. So I'm glad we did this exercise. That was
Oh yeah.
really, really great piece of content by ESPN and Adam Rittenberg. Definitely check that out.
Rittenberg's one of the good ones, man. He's always putting out good stuff.
He's always putting out the good stuff, and I don't know if he has Goldilocks, but he's got hair.
He
Let's
does
move
have
on
hair.
let's move on to some Goldilocks here. So, ESPN also did this. Their FBI has been updated, and I believe Fan Nation looked at it from like maybe the top 10 teams or so that can make the playoff, and who could win the college football playoff based on percentages. So. We'll do too hot, too cold, just right, probably both of those things there. We're like, we talked about this a little bit off air just to be get on the same page because it's a little more convoluted. I don't even know. It's early. I'm not doing so hot. You're not doing so hot. We're living in a hot dog world, brother.
We are living in hot dog world, man. I feel like I've been bathing in hot dog water. That's how my sinuses feel right now.
And I'm the I'm the chocolate starfish.
That's right, baby.
Chocolate starfish, hot dog flavored water. Gosh.
I might just name the episode that chocolate starfish and hot dog flavored water.
Well, we're rolling onto this. So, I think the 10 or 11 best teams or 12 best teams to chances to make the playoff are in order. Texas won at 83.9%, Georgia at 2 at 78.6%, Ohio State at 3 at 70.6%, Alabama at 4 at 66.2%, Penn State at 5 at 63.8%, Oregon at 6 with 5.57.5%, 7 Clemson at 47.3%, Miami at 8 with 46.3%, 9 Notre Dame at 45.6%, Tennessee at 10 at 38.5%, Texas A&M at 11 at 34.3%, and then Ole Miss at 12 at 30.7%. Don't make me repeat that for the love of
I will
God.
not. I will not. I promise.
So, of those teams, who's too hot, too cold, or just right for you?
All right, so I got to pick on the SEC a little bit because my God, some of these numbers are just not computing for me. Alabama at 66.2%. Like, man, you're saying that two-thirds of the simulations that you're running that Alabama is making the college football playoff. Look, I think this defense is going to be pretty damn good. I have a hell of a lot of questions about this offense still, and the SEC has become it's not the old SEC. Like this is an offensive league in a lot of ways now. And yes, you have to have a good defense to withstand playing all those good offenses. And so that is going to help Alabama. But man, there's a lot of ways the season goes where this team finishes 8-4 or 9-3. And like there's still a good chance. Like they should definitely be among the top 12 to 15 teams in terms of percentage chance to get there. But 66.2%, that's a little rich for my blood. The other one that's a little rich for my blood, a lot lower percentage, but Texas A&M, I don't believe in the Aggies like that, man. 34% chance. I'm not there with the Aggies on that level right now.
No, I share that same sentiment with you with Texas A&M. That's the one that I thought was the most hot. I'm like
Yeah,
34,
yeah.
33. No, get rid of 30% there and go.
Yeah, right.
I thought Alabama was just right at 66.2. I'm like it's probably closer, like it's not too cold. It's either too hot or just right. It's all about taste. Maybe it's the Kayla DeBoer popular. I don't know. I'm kind of coming around that maybe Alabama has more talent than other SEC teams, but your point is well taken. The two that I think are too hot besides A&M are Miami at 46.3% and Tennessee at 38.5.
Yeah, 100%. I knew you had Tennessee on there, so I left them there for you.
Yeah, Tennessee has a really soft schedule, but you don't have a quarterback. You're going from being like what the number 8 team on entering the season for me to not ranked.
Right, 100%. Like all due respect to Joey Aguilar, I'm not trying to be mean, but you're not an SEC quarterback. You're just not.
And then I think with Miami, like I tend to believe that they're probably the second most talented team in the ACC, but can they put it all together? Beck might be able to help them out in that regard, but Miami has not had great back-to-back seasons in 25 years.
Right. Yeah. And also Mario Cristobal's your head coach. You're probably gonna like if you're sitting in that 40% range, like you're probably gonna have to win some close games to flip the coin, like win those coin flip games. Not many coaches I trust less than Mario Cristobal in a coin flip game.
When you try and take the high road, but you don't know where it is, you're Mario Cristobal.
That's what I'm saying, man.
His third eye is blind. I think both of his eyes are blind
Thir-
because
never let him go. He's living a semi-charmed life down there in Coral Gables.
I think back to the time like in a previous episode where you mentioned singing Third Eye Blind at Music Midtown and Stephen Jenkins is talking about how nice the weather is, drugged out of his mind. You're like, can you play some songs, dude?
Hell yeah, brother, play Jumper. Like that's what I'm just sitting there thinking the entire time.
It's just three chords, and I've got three teams down for Too Cold. Who stands out for you with Too Cold?
Too cold. I'm going down a little bit further on the list. Like I'm looking at ESPN and not the top 12, but
Right.
I gotta go with I gotta go with our South Carolina Gamecocks. And I know we talked about we might be getting over our skis, but I'm doing this just comparatively. I think that you look at Ole Miss having a 30.7% chance. LSU has a 30.3% chance. Obviously, Tennessee has a 38.5% chance. How do you marry that with South Carolina having a 20.3% chance?
You
To
don't.
me, that like they should all be in the same range. Like they should all be in that 30 range if you're going to have them there. And like I think that like that's just a little I think that dismisses a lot of the upside of South Carolina. Again, like me personally with in our love for Lenore Sellers, like we're banking on a lot of that upside coming to fruition. And I
Right.
understand that, but at the same time, there is that upside there. And I feel like 20% chance doesn't fully bake all that in there, especially when you have a Texas A&M sitting there at 34.3% chance. Like I there's a chance that neither of them make the playoff, but I would bet the house that South Carolina has a better chance of making the college football playoff than Texas A&M does.
I would switch their percentages, and I feel a lot
Yeah,
better about that.
that's a really good call. Exactly.
I do that all the time with this, and I don't know why it just seems to work or just to move on with everything. But the three that I've got are Ohio State at 70.6, Notre
Yeah.
Dame at 45.6, and Clemson at 47.3. I've got Ohio State and Clemson as a lock to make it, so I would love to see both of them be at 75% or better.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame less than 50%. Like, I understand you probably got to win 11 games, but like you did so much. Maybe it's just kind of they don't know what CJ Carr is. I look at those teams and like I feel pretty confident all three are gonna make the playoff.
No, I mean Notre Dame was my other one, so I'm right there with you. I'm with you on all three of those, frankly. But like Notre Dame specifically, you look at them and the way I'm looking at CJ Carr, yes, you don't know what that is. Like that is an unknown commodity, but I also trust this Notre Dame coaching staff under Marcus Freeman. Like they've given me no reason not to trust them in terms of how they want to build a roster and what their vision is for this program. And they took a pretty known commodity and a pretty steady commodity in Steve Angeli and said, hit the road, Jack. And like, because they're betting on CJ Carr. And like, I don't think you do that unless there's a lot of confidence in what he's going to be able to do in this offense. So when you factor that in, like, they should, I mean, like, the fact that they're under 50% is kind of mind blowing to me.
I don't get it, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. We're
I
not
mean,
math
have
guys, to be clear. We're not math guys, but
we're also not Desmond Howard either.
that's true. Exactly.
And then for just right for this part of it, mine's all SEC centric. I've mentioned Alabama. I've also said Georgia at 78.6% and Texas at 83.9.
Mhm.
I'm struggling to see like Texas not making it, and I think Georgia's schedule, though challenging, has a lot of favors, a lot of breaks in their favor. That I feel like they're like Texas is like should be like a 95% chance to make the playoff, and Georgia should be like what's it, Georgia 60 some 70.
78.6.
Okay, like 85% chance. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I went a little Big Ten centric with one SEC team in there. Penn State at 63.8. I think that's the exact right. Like, we have them as a lock. There's no doubt about that. But I do think that at 63.8, like, you are baking in the James Franklin of it all. And, like, I
Yeah.
think that's why I feel confident in that number because, like, as high as we are on Penn State, there's that, there's the history that we have with this program, the history that we have with James Franklin that sits in the back of your mind. And it's like, well, it could not work out. It could not go the way you want it to. Excuse me. And then right below them, the Oregon Ducks at 57.5%. And I think for me, that's all like the talent level of Oregon says you should be in the college football playoff. But Dante Moore truly is an unknown commodity. Like when we saw him at UCLA, he was not very good. And like
Right.
I do have faith in Will Stein to get more out of him than Chip Kelly did when Chip Kelly was completely checked out on the UCLA job. And so like I understand the optimism there, and that the roster is so talented that the floor is going to be so high. But you do have to bake in the unknown commodity at quarterback. Gonna go a bit further down. I think LSU at 30% is like I think it's 30.3. Yeah, 30.3%. I think that's exactly right. Like I think that you're absolutely nailing with what LSU is because the offense probably gives you most of that 30% chance. Like you can be very confident in what this offense is going to give you behind Garrett Nussmeier. The defense, there's optimism there because of, you second year under a new defensive coordinator, Blake Baker. You brought in a ton of transfers. I believe like 9 out of 11 starters are going to be transfers on that defense. So like you're bringing all of that in. That should institute change, but again, we don't know that. We don't have any like actual like on the field data to actually prove that. So I think 30% chance with that unknown makes a lot of sense for the Tigers.
I'm right there with you. LSU definitely has a lot of very high upside, but also a lot of variance. Like national
Yeah,
title or 7-5. That's kind of what
right.
they are.
Well, I
And
mean,
then
it's kind of indicative that Ole Miss has a 0.4% chance higher of making the playoff. Like they're at 30.7, LSU's at 30.3, but LSU has a 0.6% chance higher of winning a national championship. They're at 2.1, whereas Ole Miss is at 1.5. Like that's what LSU is. Like they have a better chance of teams in that range of winning a national championship, but they also have the same amount of chance of missing the playoff.
right. And then with Penn State, before we move on to like who can actually win the national championship, I wonder if Sam Monson, formerly at PFF, they talked about the Thomas Jones of running backs, the James Franklin of it all, I think would be like something that would fascinate him.
Oh yeah, 100%. Just really getting into it.
Get into the nitty gritty and data here. So I'm gonna look down here. So we got that for that part of Too Hot Too Cold. I'm gonna go down to like who can win the national championship. So we got 11 teams here. I'm gonna do a better job of rattling this off. Number one, I've got Texas at 24.1%. At two, it's Georgia at 17.9%. Three, Ohio State at 10.8%. Also tied at three, Alabama is 10.8%. At five, Penn State at 7%. Six, Oregon at 4.3%. Clemson at seven at 2.8%. Notre Dame is tied with Miami, Catholics versus convicts at
That's right, baby.
2.7%. And then tied for 10th, you've got Texas A&M and Tennessee at 2.3. What's too hot? What's too cold? What's just right?
How is Clemson only 2.8%, bro? Like
Well,
that's way too cold for me. Like what are we doing here? Like Clemson, I don't like, are we missing something here? Because I don't think we are, and that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Why they have, what is that, the seventh highest percentage chance, and like well below in Oregon. Like, I'm giving Clemson a way better chance of winning a national championship than I am Oregon this year.
Yeah, I'd probably give Clemson double, triple what they have right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Like they honestly, if you put like if Clemson was in the 10.8% group with Ohio State and Alabama, I would have no qualms with it at all.
Me neither. I had Clemson as too cold as well. Penn State at 7% is way too low for me, and I think
Yeah.
Notre Dame at 2.7 is way too low. It's like Penn State should be like 10%, and then Notre Dame should be about 5.
Oh yeah, agreed. 100%.
Too hot. All SEC for me. Texas at 24.1, Alabama at 10.8, and Georgia at 17.9.
It's a little rich. Like all three like I the best of Alabama, if everything works out with the offense, can win a national championship. Obviously, Texas and Georgia are two of the favorites. Like they all have all those programs have a good chance, but God, those numbers are a little
I
high.
wouldn't have Georgia or Texas higher than 15%.
Yeah, I wouldn't have anyone higher than 15%. Like that's kind of where I'm at with this.
I'd probably have Alabama at like 7.5, not that much further back, but
Yeah,
like that's who is too hot for you.
I'm gonna be an ass on this one, and
Yes.
I'm gonna go down to the USC Trojans, who they're given a 0.4% chance of winning a national championship. No shot in hell, brother. There's no way. There's no way that's ever gonna happen. I'm sorry.
No, I think there's a better chance of hell freezing over or Lincoln Riley embracing defense or the Angels winning the pennant. It's not happening.
It could happen, man.
I
Uh,
know we're I know we're talking about this beforehand. We would clip that.
yeah, 100%.
Uh, I thought you were going North Carolina Tar Heels at first.
Oh no, I don't even know if they got a percentage chance. Honestly, I don't see them anywhere. They have no, they have a point zero, they have a 0.0% chance of winning the national championship.
I'm
That's
sorry.
just right. That's just right. That's what just right.
I'm sorry. College football has become the equivalent of the NBA for you and I. You think the Hawks and the Hornets are going to win an NBA Finals?
I do not. I certainly do not.
No, no, I don't. We certainly have Quinn Snyder still coaching the Hawks. I'll tell you that much.
Hey, you know what though? They denied the Knicks the chance to interview Quinn Snyder. So that's a, Hawks are just, standing their ground.
I know we've got a lot of Knicks colleagues here. They don't deserve happiness. That whoever reads that, no, like them and the Celtics, just those are the two teams I cannot stand.
I mean, I don't know why you fired Tibbs, if I'm being honest, but that's
No,
neither here nor there.
no, because you have a crazy madman on your team, and this is false start.
It's true.
Let's see. And then just right. I think Ohio State at 10.8 is good. Oregon at 4.3 is good, and then Miami at 2.7 seems fine to me.
Yeah, I like Miami at 2.7. I like Oregon at 4. I like both of those as well. I actually like don't mind Ohio State at 10.8. Like I think that makes a lot of sense. Like Ohio State, we know what the talent level is. We know what the upside of the quarter. Like I think the upside of Ohio State's quarterback situation is higher than the upside of Alabama's quarterback situation right now, especially with Ryan Day running the show. But you still don't know. And I think that if Ohio State won the national championship, I wouldn't be surprised. But if they also like fell short, lost in the quarterfinal or something like that, wouldn't be surprised either.
Oh man, I had like this stupid thought in my head about like a skit I had with the Arizona State podcast with Ty Simpson.
Oh God.
Or mostly it's about like people that are like in Birmingham that have been deplatformed, so they're discovering 90s alternative music. Like in the early 60s, they don't know anything about it.
Oh
So
my
it's
God.
it's it's Kim and Tim Simpson Jensen and their son's Ty.
Ty. That's my son Ty right there.
And they just mispronounce all the band's names like crazy. So it's Antarctica's Monkeys, Nirvana, uh,
Nirvana.
Ham, A- Antarctica's Monkeys. First off, how'd they get down there and work? Two, where can I find one?
I'll call my buddy Jeff Banks. He knows a lot about the monkeys.
No, I'm saying, I can't wait to see Gnome do anything in Columbus. That's his nickname now. But yeah, that wasn't too bad. I didn't spend too much time on that with this. Uh, I think the big thing is like we just don't trust Alabama or Tennessee at all this year.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And we didn't trust Arizona State last year. Playoffs. You kidding me? Came across this on Reddit CFB on the X. Somebody was saying that there's definitely going to be an Arizona State this year. I don't know exactly what that entails for you. Is it worst to first? Is it out of nowhere? But who's your contender for that this year? You are muted, sir.
Apologies.
That's fine.
That,
All
that
right.
again, that's where this podcast is today. I apologize, everyone.
It's-
Uh, it's a team I mentioned on Monday. The TCU Horned Frogs, I think, are a team that could potentially get in there. Exactly, man. That's what I'm saying. Right there. But like, I'm high on Josh Hoover. Like, I think he is a very good quarterback. I think he, frankly, has a chance to be a better quarterback than Max Duggan was, like as a thrower specifically. And again, I feel like because TCU dropped off after the run to the national championship game, and because they got their doors blown off in that national championship game, like, I feel like the shine has worn off of Sonny Dykes. He's still a damn good coach, and TCU is a program that has a ton of resources. And we watched them get hot at the end of last season, and you return a lot of that production. Like, I think this TCU team, I'm definitely not going to predict them to win the Big 12. I'm definitely not going to predict them to win the college football playoff. But if I'm looking at teams that could really surprise some people, I do think TCU is kind of in that Arizona State mold. And like, we're going to be looking at like one point in the season, and it's like, wait, TCU is 7-1. How did we get here? Like, how did we get to this point?
That's a really good one. They were a consideration for me. I think they might be a little bit too good, but like I get what you're saying. Like they've got the right talent in the mix and the
I mean,
conference too.
they barely made a bowl game last year. So I do think it is like a drastic improvement to talk about them being Arizona State.
I don't know. They're running the nation's longest win streak at
That's
four
right.
games.
That's right.
So I picked one team from each Power Four because I really couldn't figure it out, and we'll try to figure this out. So the Big 12 one I had was Oklahoma State. I just don't think that they're going to be that bad, but like
Yeah.
maybe Adam Rittenberg does. They were way down there.
Yeah.
So maybe not them. I thought Florida State out of the ACC. That's a
hmm
candidate for it as well. I had Auburn out of the SEC,
Mm.
and I think my picks, like right now, I think my picks are going to be out of the Big Ten. Give me Michigan State, baby.
I like the Michigan State one. I will sing the praises of Aiden Childs from the mountaintops. So we're ready to go.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier.
Ooh, I can't sing right now. We're not even gonna try.
No, it's fun. I got a drippy nose. The Greyhound has a drippy nose. We're living hot dog world, and this is false start.
Brother, yeah, we're hurting. We're hurting today.
Thank God it's past hump day. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah, I feel like I'm on the other side of it, but that's okay.
The other side they were talking about in Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know if I'm there, but I'm somewhere.
Somewhere on the other side.
So we do sing on this show, but TCU and Michigan State, like I feel pretty good about those two. I feel like it's all about like quarterback play and an
Mhm.
offensive minded head coach who knows quarterbacks that they trust.
Right. And I mean, that's what we got last year with Kenny Dillingham. Like, he got a quarterback in Sam Levitt that he trusted. Granted, didn't have like, interestingly enough, from Michigan State, but like, you're looking at Sam Levitt and like, Kenny Dillingham obviously put a lot of trust in him to run that offense. You have good coaches who are like, I feel like are sliding under the radar. Like, Kenny Dillingham was one of the hottest names in college football coaching. Went to Arizona State and kind of got mired in what Arizona's like the situation that Arizona State was in, and you forgot about him. And that's not dissimilar to what we're talking about with Sonny Dykes and what we're talking about with Jonathan Smith either. Like, Jonathan Smith comes from Oregon State, has to pick up the pieces that Mel Tucker left for him in East Lansing, and now it's year two. Now he's had time to build that culture. Now he's got a quarterback in Aiden Childs that I do think has a tremendous amount of upside. Sonny Dykes, like I said, you kind of forgot about him and he kind of slipped under the radar after that national championship run. Everyone was just looking at it as an anomaly. No, I think Sonny Dykes is just a damn good football coach. Like, I think it very much fits the Kenny Dillingham Arizona State mold.
One of my favorite things about St. Dykes is one of my best friends has the same personality as Sonny
Oh,
Dykes.
really?
uh, Desper, if you're listening to the show, you're Sonny Dykes. This is my pledge brother, who's what do you call it? What's anesthesiologist puts people to sleep.
Hell yeah. Hopefully he's listening to this in the surgery room, putting people to sleep.
I know, like he's the kind of guy that somebody will like call up on Hartsfield Jackson, we lost your bag.
Tough. We hate to see it.
And he's coming back from like fly fishing in Montana. He's like, "Are you kidding me?"
I'm gonna take the podcast off the rails.
Please.
2 or 3 Christmases ago, I was flying back home to see my mom in North Carolina, and I don't know. I've never done this before. Like I'm normally pretty smart with how I pack, but I was packing in a rush, and I packed all of my socks and underwear in one bag, and then all the rest of my clothes in another bag. Guess which one the airport lost? The one with all the socks and the underwear. And so I show up at home and I'm just like, well, I don't know what to do now. Cause like I don't have any socks, I don't have any underwear. It's Christmas, everything's closed. So like I was in a bad spot for a couple days until the stores opened back up.
Like Tom Petty, you were free falling.
Free fall. So let that be a lesson that I have learned. I always pack an extra pair of socks and an extra pair of underwear in my carry-on, my whatever my like personal item is.
I always do that. I'm like in case it gets bad. I always have that.
Oh yeah, got to. It's a necessity in life.
Yeah, when we're going to London, we had like a 2 hour thing and I have to shower every day. So I felt septic after 48 hours. Like I am dying. I'm never doing this again.
Just shower off in the airport bathroom. It'll be fine.
Over in Orlando, a lot of people don't shower and bathe, but
It
I don't know.
happens.
I got rained on too. That also didn't help.
No, not at all.
That's not a shower. That's Earth shower, brother.
I feel the chemicals in the ozone on my body.
Michigan State, TCU. I think the last thing I'll say is like these are also programs that have won at a high level recently. They've been to the playoff before.
Yeah.
They've been to New Year's Six bowls. We have vivid memories of this happening. They've had iconic head coaches with Mark D'Antonio and Gary Patterson. They've had pop years after that with obviously Mel Tucker a couple of years ago, and then obviously with Sonny Dykes in 22. Like these are programs that like every couple of years it happens, and it might happen for them.
No, I think the best way to say it is it's a program where when you have the right guy, when you have the right coaching staff, like you can see it succeed. Like Arizona State's not dissimilar. Like I don't think they had the exact like obviously they hadn't made the playoff, but in years past, like in the BCS era, like they had some teams that were flirting like near the top of like in the top 25 quite consistently.
100%. And so these are two teams that we're high on. And let's talk about a team that Paul Finebaum is really down on with It Don't Mean Enough. I think the two teams he's been most critical of are Georgia, because he doesn't trust Gunnar Stockton, and his alma mater, Tennessee. We could talk about Gunnar Stockton, but let's talk about Tennessee right now. I think he went like on probably a radio news set, I think, or maybe on SEC Network or something like that. He's like, yeah, I don't think they're making the playoff, and neither do I.
No, but kind of to the point of what we were talking about earlier with like the future power rankings from Adam Rittenberg and like how Tennessee fans can feel confident. I don't think they make the playoff. I'm with Paul Finebaum on this. Like I think Paul Finebaum is right about this and like right to be critical of this current team. But at the same time, let's think about where Tennessee was 4 or 5 years ago or before Josh Heupel got there. And fans were having to talk themselves into like this outlandish idea that Tennessee can make the playoff. Like they were deluding themselves into thinking that. Now that is the expectation. This is another sign that Tennessee is a very good spot where like the criticism from Paul Finebaum is they're not making the playoff this year. And like I agree, sure, but like Tennessee has elevated under Josh Heupel to a point where like that is the expectation now to make the 12-team playoff. And like if you're a Tennessee fan, again, 2025 might not be the season that you're looking for, but in the grand scheme of things, your program is in a very good spot and a lot better spot than it was in previously.
100%. So they do have a favorable schedule. It's
Mhm.
probably one of the three easiest in the SEC, along with, I believe, Ole Miss and Missouri, if I recall correctly. But obviously, Nico going to UCLA changed the paradigm. So high on him last year, not anymore. A
It
lot can
happens.
change. A lot can change in the course of 24, 24 or 12 months. I can't do math anymore. That's not even
So,
hard math.
some amount of months, some amount of months.
I know I'm gonna hang out with my not how old's your child? He's 96 months. So he's 8?
Correct.
the edge show. But like you are absolutely right. The expectation now for Tennessee is to make the playoff. And what had gotten other coaches in trouble prior to Josh Heupel is like they struggled with their three biggest rivals. Really struggled with Florida. Still got to figure that one out. Still struggling with Georgia. I've gotten a lot better against Alabama, but like still haven't beaten Georgia yet. You get them at home, so maybe you have an opportunity there. But Georgia's doesn't lose in Athens anymore. That could change though.
Not to Joey Aguilar, I'm sorry,
Not no
but
no, no probably not. But like you beat Alabama two of the last 3 years.
yeah.
You got to play better versus Florida, and you can't lose to Arkansas.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like, I understand that the schedule is favorable for Tennessee, but at the same time, like, we saw in the SEC last year, like, if you're not up to snuff, you can lose any game in the SEC. Like, Alabama wasn't up to snuff, and they got their doors blown off by Oklahoma. Like, an easy schedule only means so much if, like, you're prepared to withstand it. Like, we said the same things, like, similar things about Missouri last year. And Missouri, like, Brady Cook played hurt for most of the year, and the defense took a, like, substantial step back. So, like, I'm trying not to put too much credence into like schedule like that and just like if it's like a tiebreaker between two teams I think are good, sure. But if it's like me justifying why a team's going to make a playoff and the number one thing I'm leading with is their schedule is easy, I'm not worried about that at this point.
I'm right there with you. I'm gonna go on a rant here. I got maybe this is
Let's
the
go.
clip. Um, This is why, even though I am biased, I root for an SEC team. This is why I hold the SEC in such much higher regard than the Big Ten. Because every year in the SEC, a team in the bottom will beat a team in the middle or the top.
Hmm.
Arkansas should not have beaten Tennessee. They did. Kentucky shouldn't have beaten Ole Miss. They did. They almost beat Georgia. Back before South Carolina was good, they almost beat LSU. This does not happen in the Big Ten,
No.
ever. So, like, I'm just talking about the Big Ten having a soft middle. They just have a big fat tire around their stomach, don't do any workout. And they're basically saying that like they're Olympians because their four best teams are so good. And then when their fourth best team arises from the middle of the crap and it's Indiana, they can't measure up versus anybody who's good.
No, I
Sorry.
mean, like you have, dude, love it. First off, on board with that. And I'm not even an SEC bias guy. Like I'm an ACC guy and I'm aware of what that conference is. Like I have no delusions about what the ACC is. I
Your
promise you.
your conference does this too, by the way. The Big 12 does this. The Big 10 doesn't do this.
No, they really don't. Like you look at like comparing it to the ACC, not even the SEC, but like I would say like Iowa and Georgia Tech are considered in the same tier of their conferences, respectively. Iowa gets its absolute ass kicked in every time they play a team at the top level. Georgia Tech pushes the teams at the top of the ACC, and that's consistent throughout the SEC and Big 12, like you're saying. Like that's a really good point about the Big 10. Like it is. I like I have respect for the teams at the top because like you're dumb if you don't have respect for Ohio State. You're dumb if you don't have respect for Michigan, for Oregon, and like what these teams are capable of and the talent level that they have. But in terms of leagues and what they have to go through, it is a very different mold. And like the hope with realignment was that, you know, your USCs, your Washingtons and your UCLAs might strengthen that middle. But right now, I mean, we're only 1 year into it, but like right now, that hasn't necessarily happened. Like we think Washington might be able to do that and like challenge some of the teams at the top some at some point. But I still don't know if 2025 is the season that's happening quite yet.
Yeah, like when's Nebraska gonna knock off Oregon? When's Minnesota gonna knock off Penn State? When's Ohio State gonna lose to Iowa again? Like that's what we need to see.
Penn State's the one top tier team that I do think like is kind of the outlier in this and does sometimes lose to those bad teams because Minnesota did push them to the edge last year.
Yeah, but like in the ACC, like a season ago, what like Stanford beat Syracuse,
Right.
Georgia Tech beat Miami again. Like
Yeah,
these things
100%.
happen. You guys, North Carolina had a big win once, did they? They beat somebody
At
substantial. It
one
was
point, yeah. I mean, like the North Carolina recipe is the most frustrating thing in the world. They win the games they shouldn't and lose the games they should win. So like it's a really tough spot to be in.
And then like, but Duke almost beat SMU last year. Like that's
Yeah. That was a hell of a football game too. That was a
mhm.
good game.
Yeah, that was a good game. Gonna be excited to see Darren Minster what he can do. I know it's gonna be pain for you, but I'm
Eh,
sorry.
Dude, this entire like as I've said many times, like this might just be the season of pain for Cody. Like that's just where we're at right now.
Do you have anything to like put your sports flag in at this point that to feel good?
The Red Sox have won two series in a row, so I'm feeling good about that.
Your manager's crap, but I think that's okay.
We can overcome it. Just get Alex Bregman back, we'll be fine.
I know Braves might have won a series. I think they might
Yeah,
they
they took
think
two from the Brewers, I think. I think that's right.
yeah, there we go.
Schwellenbach went complete game shutty yesterday, so that's dope.
I know, yeah, it's Strellenbach and Sale. It's not a rotation. The problem is we have a Canadian Greek sitting in his ivory tower empowering an old man to do nothing.
Just sit there and chill.
Uh, gotta hate baseball.
It's an infuriating 162 game season, that's for sure.
I know, but it won't be an infuriating 14 game season for the Vols. 13, probably 13 games, because I don't think they're going to the SEC championship game or the
No,
playoff.
they'll make a
That's
bowl
fine.
game. Like Tennessee, like the sky is not falling. That's what I want to say to all Vols fans. You're gonna be
Yeah,
okay.
you're going to go like 9-4, 8-5, and it'll be okay. In a down year for you.
Correct. Exactly. And like if that's your down year, again, your program's in a pretty damn good spot.
100%. Let's move on to our last topic with some good bowl. Put some coaches or personalities in a really good spot. Everybody's going on vacation, and I just thought, we should just send some random college football personalities to vacation somewhere. Done no prep for this. The only one I could think of right off the top of my head is I know. Unless you got Sam Pittman, I want to send him somewhere.
No, you send him somewhere and I'll tell you where I'm sending him. He's going on two vacations, of course.
He's walking to Memphis.
Oh
He's
hell yeah.
basic. He's just gonna go down to Memphis on a Beale Street, eat some barbecue. He's just gonna put on his blue suede shoes and board a plane, which I guess you could do from Fayetteville to Memphis. You'd have to cross an entire state, so I get that.
Yeah, 100%. No, so we're thinking in the same way. I'm sending him to Kansas City, except he's not eating barbecue. He's cooking it. That's the pit master, baby. Like, check out this rack of ribs I got for you.
You cut him up and he bleeds ketchup-based barbecue sauce.
Oh, 100%.
Where can we send Diego Pavia?
Diego Pavia is going to he's going to Myrtle Beach, dude.
That wasn't what I was thinking, but he could go there. He could learn some things. I was gonna send him to the Andes Mountains, but either way, like I think like he'll learn as much in Myrtle Beach as he does in the Andes Mountains. One's good, not got a lot of oxygen in the air, the other one's not got a lot of oxygen in the brains that are making up the air.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sending Lane Kiffin to Daytona Beach, just for reasons.
He wants to go fast. I love that. I'm sending Eli Drinkwitz to the Lake of the Ozarks, to see if he can find Marty Bird's son's drone that he crashed in the lake.
I'm sending Brian Ferentz to Legoland.
Uh, Love that.
It's the only place he can actually build something is Legoland.
I'm sending these two people with adjacent suites in the Helios Hotel down there in Orlando. I've got Jim Harbaugh and his family, and I've got Marcus Freeman and his family, and they're just going to Epic Universe.
Love that. Yeah, that fits perfectly.
And they're riding on opposite coasters on what the Stardust Racers, and they're giving each other high fives.
Oh, I'm sending Mario Cristobal to somewhere in like the deep heart of Texas, because they don't take a knee in the deep heart of Texas.
These colors don't run,
That's
son.
right, baby.
And I'm sending Lincoln Riley to the Bronco Mendenhall School of Survival.
God, that's what he needs. It's like, he needs remediation camp, basically.
The secret lies in Charlottesville.
Oh God, you killed me.
Oh no, he died.
Oh God. That I wasn't ready for that at
We
all.
still haven't done a Dave Matthews jail in yet. We have to at some point. As long as Virginia is like the Antonio game.
Oh yeah, 100%. We've got to do that at some point. Let's see, who else can we send somewhere? We're sending Jim Mora Jr. to Salem, Massachusetts. Because we know he loves the supernatural and the ethereal.
And on that note, Kirby Smart's gonna spend a fortnight at Lake Lanier.
That's right.
Um, I might have to end with this one unless you got something else. I got to end with
I
this
got
one.
I got one more. I'll let you in. We're sending
Yeah.
PJ Fleck to Connecticut because sweater vest, baby.
PJ is short for Hartford.
That's right.
Um, I'm gonna try to say this correctly. We are sending Mike and Gator Gundy to the Galapagos Islands because uh, Gator wants to is single and he wants to mingle.
Hey, I get it, man. It's basically sandals for for turtles.
That's how Gundy was able to sell it to his wife. We're going to Sandals, aka the Galapagos Islands for Gator.
Sandals Galapagos. We love it. It's like Montego Bay, but not.
Oh God. This was episode 83 of False Start. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter or the X at Buhler118. You can follow Cody Williams at the Sizzle20. I couldn't say your name. Cody Williams at the Sizzle. You can follow the show at CFB False Start. Like, rate, listen, subscribe, review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Give us a five
Five
star
star heart, 5 star hot
star
dog
review.
summer, baby. Let's go.
I know. Yeah, the Arizona State podcast, we're doing hot dog summer where we're just making different types of hot dogs the whole summer.
I actually ran across a contraption that I'm highly intrigued by. It was like $30 and I don't think it was worth that, but it's a mold for burgers in the shape of hot dogs so you can eat them in hot dog buns and I'm intrigued.
Oh, a hamburger dog or a piece of S?
That's right. It's a guessing game.
A little bit here. And since we've got 47 subscribers, thanks to Celestial Grimace, 47. That's Tom Glavine. So I got a hot dog story for you.
That's right, Southpaw baby.
So they asked Tom Glavine on a Braves broadcast what kind of hot dog he likes. Just like just a ballpark crank, little bit of ketchup down the side. And like, are you a child? But yes.
Hey, I'm a child too. I'm a ketchup only guy.
Oh, yeah, you don't like mustard. That's true. I forget about that.
Yeah, can't be doing. I do like a chili dog, like to be clear, but like if I'm just getting a regular hot dog, it's ketchup for sure.
Glavine's other big thing is he likes to do a jalapeno stuffed hamburgers.
That actually sounds pretty good. I can get behind that. There was a group of Minnesotans who came down to Western North Carolina and opened a restaurant called Juicy Lucy's, and they had a Juicy Lucy of the week, and it was right next to the place I was working at the time. Let me tell you, I spent many a lunch break there and tried the different Juicy Lucy's and became a big fan.
I respect that. I respect the hell out of that. It's not my thing, but like Sting, Richard Gere, I respect that.
Hell yeah. I don't really know anything about his music, but he's out there doing it.
uh, Roxanne, and this is False Start.